Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special Christmas Eve edition to the ROONS MIZZ Arsenal chat. I'm ROONS.
And I'm Miz. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone. And we come to you usually on Fridays. Today it's Thursday to talk about the good, the bad, the worst, and the utterly unconscionable concerning Arsenal Football Club. Miz, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? In comparison to Arsenal, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, in comparison to Arsenal, I'm doing fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It's
good, and I hope the same with
it's
you.
yeah,
Arsenal,
yeah.
it's a new low every single week. It seems like.
Just when it seems to not, it really took a turn this season, and it's been a doozy. We have a big game on Saturday against Chelsea on Boxing Day.
Yeah.
Another must win.
Every game's a must win. Every game's a big game now. Every game is, the playbook has been just tossed out the window. I
Yeah,
think if you go back to our very first one of these, and when we were talking about what the future would be like for the season, we were optimistic for top four, but it was a very if all things go well and players start playing to their potential, and if the team selection is not completely insane, then top four look like a possibility, and especially because this is one of the worst leagues if you take all 20 teams and all the way every team is playing. There's no team that's by far and away the best. There's no
oh
team
no,
that's
for the taking this season.
generationally good team. This is for the taking. You look at the top
Yeah,
four now, you have Leicester and Southampton, and teams that at the beginning of the season we were thinking, well, yeah, we have to be better than them to stand a chance. And it's just collapsed.
yeah.
Utterly collapsed. What's going on?
It's crazy. It's tough to understand what's going on. There's a lot of noise around Arsenal right now. You can't listen to any soccer radio without it being brought up as Talk Sport, it seems to be the running theme on all their shows discussing what's going on at Arsenal.
And
There's
it's
bigger
never
problems.
it's
Yeah.
rarely about what's going on the pitch too, which is
Yeah.
never a good sign. As soon as you
Exactly.
start talking
Yeah.
about things other than how a team is playing, it's a bad sign. And that's why I've always thought
Yeah.
Mesut Ozil in general is bad, because it always takes it away from what's going on the pitch, and that's
Yeah.
never a good sign.
It's true. And, that's what we're going to discuss today. There's some bigger overarching issues that I think to understand what's going on with Arsenal, there's a deeper issue. And we're going to talk about that today. And then basically, it's the Stan Kroenke situation and their Arsenal financials and the Kroenke group, the ownership group of Arsenal, how it's being run, everything from the owner to the CEO to the technical director to the manager. And we'll dive into, are we relegation contenders at this point? You can't say that we're not. We're midway through at this point. At Christmas, we got maybe a couple extra games than normal added onto that, but 13 games in, we're sitting 15th on not.
And we've been 15th for 3 losses in a row. You know what I mean? Like, this
with
is
no movement.
no. And luckily,
Yeah.
the only reason why we're not moving further down the table is because further down the table is you're getting into the bottom 3.
And they're really bad. They're really, and the bottom 3 right now are
There's always a
note.
big gap.
Yeah, they're very bad at the bottom, but we're not far from that. We're 2 points away from that now to the next position, and you got to start picking up some wins here. That's the only way to look at it.
And where are they coming from?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
We got Brighton next week, and that's not a given.
If you remember the last time we played Brighton, they almost derailed Project Restart for us.
Yeah, they did.
Leno got injured.
Yep.
Guendouzi essentially got kicked out of the club for what happened at that. That was his departure.
His goodbye. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've had another one of those since then.
They beat us.
And they beat us. Yeah. Yeah.
They're one of those teams that
they're a bogey
like
team.
Bolton or a Stoke or something where it's like they can, it doesn't matter if they're last place or first place. When you play them, it's going to be a scrappy, ugly game, and there's a good chance that they win 2-1 or some weird result like that, where it's not easy, even in the best of times, to get a result.
Yeah, totally. Uh, and and we got Chelsea on Saturday, and yeah, I will say it's probably a bad time to play us in general, because at some point we have to win a game at some level of just odds.
Yeah.
At some point we got to pull it together a little bit. So hopefully we can do it on Saturday. We often can get the better of Chelsea if you put us head to head over the years, but man, I'm not looking forward to that match. It's going to be hard. They're, even though they're having a little dip in form, they're still a good team.
Yeah, on paper, and they have the quality. They're better than Everton.
Yeah,
Everton is a solid team. They're not a good team. They're
yeah.
not a solid good. They're not great by any means. They don't have any amazing. They do everything pretty well, which
Tough
is
to
always
beat.
how I
Tough to
thought how
beat. Yeah,
Tottenham was, and how even they are now.
yeah,
Just because they have two really good players, they just basically try to do everything adequate to well.
yeah. No, yeah.
So
That's fair.
that's
Yeah,
not that's not a crazy good team, unbeatable team. But right now with Arsenal, it is enough. And that's what's scary when it comes to like Chelsea or even Brighton or anyone, is that all you have to do is be good to moderately good. And that's enough, because we can't find any even quality to get to moderately good. We're
yeah.
just
No,
poor across
it's
the board.
true. Yeah, I mean, and the footballing problems are one thing, but you took a deep look at the financials recently,
Yeah.
and the
So
Kroenke group overall. What did you learn?
well, it's changed kind of my whole look on things. And I'll say that I have to give credit, because do you ever watch Turkish? He's like a AFTV dude.
Oh yeah. On there, that guy, the one of
Yeah,
the guys on there.
yeah, with
I
the
don't know all their names. I don't know all their names, but I watch
yeah.
AFTV
Well,
quite a
he
bit. Yeah,
he was one of the more pessimistic ones, even when we won the FA Cup and stuff.
yeah,
And I tend to side with the pessimistic ones, because they're still judging Arsenal against the Invincible squad, which I don't think it's bad to compare against the best. You can say, oh, well, that's not fair. That's, they're the best, but it's like, that's where we want to be, right? Let's be honest.
we're 16 years ago. We're a long way off from that right now.
For sure. But you compare it to that. So
Yeah,
anyway, he was talking about the spine of the club, not just the spine of the team. We talk about the spine of
yeah,
the team. You need a good center back. You need a good defensive mid. Fair enough. But what about the spine of the club? And I had never really looked at, you hear sporting directors, you hear the CEOs, and I never really cared about that because that wasn't on the pitch. But then looking at it, it kind of made all of these things that we've been dealing with year after year seem explainable. And so I just typed in Google Arsenal Financials 2020, and I was taken to the Arsenal Supporters Trust, who is I don't know if they're the ones who owned the club before, because I know it was like a club owned,
yeah.
member owned kind of situation before that. And
And
so I
it's
don't
still
know.
public. It's still publicly traded. It's still the like
Is it?
Stan Kroenke. Yeah, Stan Kroenke doesn't own it outright. He just has the most shares, and he bought all the shares. So they technically somebody could still come in and force him out with a bid, but he controls the 67% that he needed threshold to take over. But it's still like, my understanding is that it's still just the largest shareholder. So yeah, the trust was in place before. That was like a part ownership of the club,
Yeah.
with that family, the Hill family, that was like the main owners as well. There was like a big consortium of owners. Ushmanov was a part of it.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and so in there you found on the
So,
trust.
yeah, so they kind of laid out the financials for the football club, and you can go and look it up. AST or Arsenal Supporters Trust. Just look it up online, and you can find. And so they had the
Sure.
projections of where we're at financially, and So a couple of things I learned, which was interesting, was that the stadium cost 450 some odd million pounds, which Tottenham's is 1.1 billion. The Raiders stadium they just built in Las Vegas was $2 billion. So 1 point something billion pounds.
Yep.
So so comparatively, it's about half the price of a modern day stadium.
Yeah, because it like 2006, just construction costs and inflation at the
Yeah, I mean,
time. Is that
yeah.
is that the
So it
difference?
was, I imagine, because
Yeah.
it's a world class stadium.
Yeah,
But
it's
what I'm
beautiful.
saying is that in real money terms, we actually got a really good deal because
Yeah.
we built it when it was half the price as it is now. So why are we still paying for it? Which I didn't know.
Yeah.
And we
And
didn't.
you would think from my understanding about what they've done in Islington is that they've bought all the real estate around there. They turned Highbury into luxury flats that they sold for around a million a piece. And where did that money go?
Well, they had issued bonds to supporters who we had to pay back each year for those bonds. They were fixed at a close to 6% interest rate, which right now interest rates are like,
Low.
what's a home interest rate that you're
Two
seeing?
point 2.8.
Right. So 4% interest. So it turned into
Yeah.
like $12 million a year interest on a bond, on debt for a stadium that happened in 2007 that was half the price of our current stadium cost. So all these are that's just terrible, terrible management of finances, let alone
Yeah.
soccer. So
Yeah.
we're paying, and that's why the common complaint of Arsenal fans is why is everything so expensive related to Arsenal as a fan, but yet every transfer window we hear we don't have any money to spend. We don't have any money to spend. And it seems like that doesn't make any sense. But looking into the numbers, oh, now it makes sense because we're still paying interest on loan on a debt that we thought, it's so long ago that you can't even imagine it as something that's
Yeah.
still affecting our transfer windows. So that's
which
one.
is which is which is a big issue when we're talking about like the type of money that other clubs are spending
Yeah. You
every
or,
transfer window that
or
we
how
don't
much?
even have.
The way I look at it is we say we don't spend enough money in the transfer window. Well, we're spending money. It's just going towards not players.
Yeah, it's
So
on other things that like debt that they owe.
debt and loans that we still hadn't sorted out yet.
And are they, do you think the Kroenke family is taking, because they've increased their wealth since being owners of Arsenal significantly? I think they've increased the amount of teams that they've bought in the US. I mean, Stan Kroenke doesn't even go to England anymore. Obviously, the pandemic has probably changed that, but he's a billionaire. He could get around that loophole. He could privately fly or whatever, however he needs to do it. But he has no interest in Arsenal.
So I read this article on The Athletic, which I already didn't like. I've been seeing their stuff around, and that Ornstein dude is always talking about Arsenal and something about I didn't like him. But I read this article on the Cronkies, and it's so obvious that they paid The Athletic to write this shit because it's basically saying they're doing a great job.
Yeah.
Like people are,
They're,
it,
yeah.
it ends with this sentence: Arsenal supporters complain about their ownership, but should they? What kind of ownership do they really want? And they purport to give you all kinds of reasons why Arsenal's management is doing a great job. They've handled things wonderfully. It says stuff like Arsene Wenger was never turned down for funds when he asked for them.
He says differently in his book.
So whether or not you believe that, or whether or not there's some other reason,
I mean,
that are
there's pundits right now directly pointing to the Kroenke family as the problem. I mean, Darren Bent the other day on Talk Sport made no mistake about it. Was like the ownership has got to change before this club ever gets better. Like they are driving the club into the ground. Ever since he's taken full ownership, we've had a decline, which is around the '09 era. And he was increasing his stake. We thought it was a good thing at the time. And like that he was gonna, want to do something more with the team, but all he really wanted to do was just
He
take
uses
money
it,
out of it.
yeah, he uses it to borrow against it. He
Yeah.
uses the
Because
club's
of its
value
worth.
to borrow against it so that he can get loans to go do other things. Like he has a $550 million loan from Deutsche Bank. I also learned that from the AST article.
Yeah.
So he's using the value of the club. But so another thing before I get into that real quick, we also owe 80 million pounds in player transfers that we haven't paid for completely.
Which we're the only club that likes to do this like finance type situation when we buy players. Every
Right.
other team pays cash.
Right. So we're paying 20 to 40 million pounds every window for players that you and I think we've already, who is that for? Is it for El Neni or is it for Xhaka? Who are the players that we brought
Ozil?
in?
Is it Ozil?
I doubt it because I doubt Real Madrid would accept that kind of bullshit. So also, here's what it tells me. Look at the last two players that we brought in Pepe and Gabriel. They both came from Lille. Pepe was 72 million. Everyone talks about it, blah, blah, but we paid that in installments. So Lille seems like a team that is willing to take money in installments. Hence why we're looking at Gabriel.
Yeah. Because they know that they can, you shop where you can afford. So they're shopping.
Not even where we can afford, but who will even
do that? Yeah.
Except players on layaway.
And those are teams like Lille. That's a team like, they're not majorly financial backed, so you could understand from their point, they probably get like a 30 million up front and then over years paid off however. And I mean, 10 million next year, 10 million the year after, that works for them because that's going to turn into
that's still a good return. If you can sell one player for 30 million for 3 years, then that's still good.
But you're balancing the books years over year. They know the stability of that situation, so then they can earn a little bit extra. If anything, we're putting other clubs in better positions by doing that as well, and meagerly building up bills on our own end because that they're going to need more and they're going to have to buy more players.
Yeah. Well, and what it does is it immediately closes off some teams who won't do business like that. So we keep saying, why didn't we get Draxler? Why didn't we name how many players that we've been
Benzema.
linked to? Benzema, Higuain over the years. And that's
you name it, they've probably been linked with Arsenal at some point if they're a top player. Kylian Mbappe almost signed for Arsenal when Arsene Wenger was there at the very end.
Yeah.
And that I bet it was about money.
For sure, because you have PSG.
What else would it be about?
Who pays in cash, and they pay market value plus.
And he would have probably much rather play in the Premier League
and pay you in installments.
Yeah.
So now it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
Before it was like, why does this keep happening? Now it makes perfect sense. So
and that translates. The financials move into the other part of it. What we're talking about is the spine of the club. The owner down to the sporting director, down to the CEO. I mean, the owner is Stan Kroenke. The CEO is Josh Kroenke.
Is it or it's Vinon? I think
Vinon. But what's Josh Kroenke's role?
He's owner. He's
owner.
The representative of the owner, which is a problem in itself already. So you're already looking at, there's middlemen between all of these spots where other clubs have it nailed down. Like Man City, for example, you have the emir of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Sheikh Mansour. What's his name? Sheikh Mansour.
Yeah. Sheikh Mansour of the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah. I mean, he's like royalty. So he's
absentee owner, but what comes with that is unlimited liquidity.
He doesn't care how much money he puts into it.
No. Then you have that other dude, I can't remember his name, but he's the CEO. but he's the
Mubarak
intermediary.
or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the intermediary between royalty and the club.
And watching All or Nothing with him, you would love to have that guy at your club.
For sure. I mean,
That dude is a football like man. He knows soccer. He cares about the club. Not only does he care about the club, but he seems to have navigated the position of not just like holding on to Pep, but keeping himself in the position to run the club very well for Sheikh Mansour. That's what you want to see.
for sure. And the sporting director, Chiki Begiristan
Yep.
from Barcelona.
Yep.
Look at what happened when he left Barcelona and came to Man City. Barcelona making their signings haven't worked out. Before that, he had the signings of basically the best era of Barcelona. You've seen what that shows you is what a sporting director can do.
Does, yeah.
Before, because they call them sporting directors in Europe, we call them general managers in the United States.
Yeah.
So that's the person who gets the deals done. So they need to know the sport, and then they also need to know business. They're like the CEO, but in somewhere between the CEO and the coach, the manager, which it's a really interesting job. And you can see how important it is because, yeah, anyone would like to have, if I could say, let's get this person, that person, that'd be great, which is what a manager would do. But then you have to have the reality of what's business feasible. And then you have to build relationships with these other clubs so they want to do business with you when you want to sell players.
Exactly. And what do you think? So we have Edu.
Yeah. First of all, we have Edu, who's inexperienced, but who just came in because we fired Sinelli, who was there for a season and a half. These aren't positions.
And what? Even Gazidis was before him, correct?
Yeah.
And he's at AC Milan now.
Well, Gazidis was the CEO, if I'm not mistaken, because
yes, you're right.
He was
we didn't have a technical director, right?
Right, because
Wenger
was both. So it explains to me why. Okay, so Wenger was the highest paid manager in the world.
8 million pounds a year or something, right?
Yeah. Why? Because usually that's split up between the sporting director and the manager.
Yeah,
that's right. Combine those roles, and maybe if you look at some teams, like if you look at Pep and Cheeky, what they're getting paid, maybe that's 9 million. So maybe that was a cost-cutting measure in the first place, but it's also just not a smart thing because then you might get a coach like Wenger who had his own ideas about players, and then he was very, very reluctant to admit that he made a mistake, or he wasn't having anyone being like, no, you shouldn't do that, or maybe you should do this, or what about this? He gets stuck in his own ways, where that pretty much marks the second half of his time at Arsenal, where he was sticking with players consistently who were saying they wanted to leave.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Wenger, I love Arsene Wenger, but he made a lot of mistakes, especially in the latter 10 years that he was there.
I think he made a deal with the devil, and they said that he has a good relationship with Stan. Here's what I think. Stan saw this team, and they were like, okay, we're one of the only teams with a long-term coach like Alex Ferguson.
Yep.
We always get into the
Champions League.
So you have the rights money for TV for the EPL. You have the rights money for Champions League, and you have a coach who can keep us there year after year after year. So that's a stability that attracted the Kroenkes in the first place. And they wanted to keep that model just no matter what. They wanted to do that and they also liked the fact that Arsene Wenger was never one who wanted to spend a lot of money on players, ever. He was always
he didn't want to do it,
Trusted the academy, or he liked unknown people. He also had a ton of great scouts who, by the way, now are gone. Who were giving him players like Van Persie and Fabregas. So you can do that.
Pretty much all of those teams had like youth through it. Like we picked up young kids along the way, always.
We had a certain model that was working.
Yep.
And Stan saw that and was like, well, we can just keep doing that. We can just keep
Yeah.
doing
Yeah. So he was probably like, "Hey, Wenger, you can stay as long as you want."
for sure.
And
And that's why.
and
That's why even
yeah,
when the results were poor, and that's why I was, even before I was like, you know what, we keep getting fourth place and keep being shitty. We're not a good team. There's so many problems. We're papering over cracks. And then at the end, we win one game and we end up fourth place, but miles away from the championship. But fourth place, which means Champions League again, which means another 10-2 aggregate. It's better if we're just out of Champions League.
yeah,
You know what I
we became like a joke at the end. That we just kept getting beat so bad.
mean? Like people are like, oh, we should go back to Champions League. Would you want to take this team that we have right now and go to Champions League?
Hell no. No, they don't deserve it anyway. I mean, the bigger overarching issue what we're discussing here is Stan Kroenke and their consortium of their group.
Yeah.
What is it going to take them to sell? What do we got to do to get them out? I think the majority of the Arsenal supporters feel this way.
Oh,
I think if you were to pull the main club ticket holders, season ticket holders, I'd say 85% of them would want the Kroenke family out.
agreed.
So
Agreed.
how can us fans, what can we do to save our club? Because it's
It's
going
being
down.
it's being literally run into the ground financially,
Yep.
corporate wise, and definitely on the field. So yes,
And we're not exempt from relegation in our next topic. We're not out of that talk. We're fully in that realm right now.
yeah. So the question, if you ask me, what can the fans do? I say nothing because I don't think Kroenke does not give a shit. You know, like in that article in the Athletic, he said that his wife likes Arsenal, thinks it's cute, quaint. It's Arsenal is the topic of their dinner discussions. For them, they're an American, upper
Yeah.
class family.
Yeah, she's a Walmart. She's from the Walmart family.
Yeah.
And
And they
Stan
think,
Kroenke owns the LA Rams, the Denver Nuggets, the Colorado Avalanche, um, the Rapids. He owns a number of lacrosse teams. He owns a minor league hockey. I looked up his businesses the other day.
yeah,
I mean, he made his wealth from real estate and commercial real estate. Now they're billionaires 10 times over.
yeah. And the Rapids, I don't know if you remember, but last season, the Rapids, they said the owner, but maybe I don't know if they were talking about CEO or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He was like speaking out against like kneeling for Black Lives Matter and like,
Yeah.
if they do that, I'm not gonna give them any money type shit.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Like,
I mean, he's a major Trump donor. It's
yeah,
showing what he's
it's
doing with the
rotten all
club
the way
financially.
through. It's rotten
Yeah,
all the way through.
it is. Yeah.
So your question is, what can the fans do? My answer, nothing. My question is, how much do they have to lose before it becomes a liability that they can't borrow? Like I imagine, so that Deutsche Bank loan, you
Yeah.
know, you have to pay some amount back each year, which
Yeah.
he's definitely been using Arsenal. They said 3 million here and there, which isn't enough to really warrant something, but I also think if the value of the club goes down, maybe that bond or that loan triggers something within the loan. Like, okay, you can borrow
Yeah.
550 million because you have assets worth 1.2 billion, for example.
Yeah. But if your value drops below $1 billion, all of a sudden they're not going to be
Then
able to borrow as much.
maybe that
Yeah.
interest rate flies up, or maybe it does something. Is that enough to trigger a financial imperative for him to sell the club? And what would it take to do that? It would take relegation
Yeah.
because,
Yeah. And we don't want that either. We've discussed the idea of it a couple of times, but like, it's hard to come back.
well, here's what he's done. He's put us as fans in a position where we have to almost hope for the team to do not even bad, because it used to be what was bad before was not making Champions League. Now we have to hope that they get relegated.
Well, and even
Order for
in that
it.
situation, if you look at teams like Newcastle, the owner is still Mike Ashley to this day. The fans hate Mike Ashley being there as the owner. He's wanted to sell the club a number of times, has tried to sell the club,
Yeah.
has not been able to find a right buyer. They almost got bought this summer by a Saudi prince.
Yeah.
And they even got relegated, stayed with the owner, and have come back to the Premier League under that. So it's not even a guarantee relegation would get rid of him. But
Right.
it would be, you're right. He's putting us in a position where we're choosing a worse league, maybe out of a potential of getting rid of him. Like, we can't vote him out. And hopefully,
literally put the club hostage to his own interests, so that we have to sacrifice the Premier League in order to get him out. Now, and we don't even know if that's enough to do it. But I think so, because he was counting on a guaranteed income of close to 200 million a year based on.
And he's not getting it now. Yeah.
You take away that 200 million, where's it going to come from?
Exactly.
What Adidas says, if you're relegated, we're not paying for your jerseys anymore.
Well, and they've already said, like, built into the Arsenal players' contracts now. The other day was on Sky. If they get relegated, they all have to take a 25% pay cut. So, I mean, and some of them will have things built in that they're allowed to leave if they get relegated. Like, Aubameyang has something like that in his clause.
I hope so. Because I think about it, sometimes I'm like, okay, if we get relegated, here's my thing. We get relegated and we get a new owner, and then we get Rafa Benitez, who gets us back into the league, and then we start a rebuild process 2 years from now, once we've been relegated and promoted, assuming we do, it's a big if, because the championship's tough. It's a tough league.
Yeah.
Very many teams bounce right back. It's happened. We would hope, obviously, that it happens, but it's a big ask, and it's a nightmare scenario. But
yeah. I mean, I guess our hope is that somebody comes along and wants to buy them and pays over odds for it to make it worth it. Because I would say the Nigerian, Africa's richest man, has stated on a number of occasions that he wants to buy Arsenal, return them to their former glory days, and is willing to invest millions to do it, like, of his own money on the transfer window. He's said it multiple times. So maybe we'll get lucky. I mean, our club is valued in the top 10 every year out of football clubs.
Well, I think the saving grace for us is that we have a stadium already. So we're going to be worth more. And then if we get relegated, we'll be a total bargain because of what our current value. It'll be in that sweet spot where we're way more valuable than Norwich. You know what I mean? But we'll be, for a Premier League, we'll be cheap because we're not in the Premier League. So that'll look good for a potential buyer.
Yep. So hopefully that happens. I mean, we can only hope that situation improves. Otherwise,
so you look at the spine,
we have a bleak future.
I know, because you look at the spine. We have Vinay, who came from like the commercial department of something, doesn't know fuck all. I don't trust him for shit. You have Edu, who's inexperienced. He has a couple connections in Brazil. That's his claim to fame. And he was a former player for our team. He was an invincible. But that doesn't mean fuck all as a sporting director.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that you know how to do the job well.
This dude is coming out and saying that we're wrong to criticize Willian. Go fuck yourself, dude. And what does Willian do in response to that? Basically strolls around as if he's trying to disrupt this team. The way he played against Everton, you would think that he was trying to ruin the team.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, he has not performed from the first game. The first game he got 3 assists, and where has he been since?
Yeah, and no one thought when we got him on a free that we got him to somehow
be the main player.
Yeah, he was supposed to be a sub. He was supposed to come in when Pepe had run his nuts off and was so tired.
We should have known differently with the wage they put him on, though. Just another poor decision, though. They just don't make good. They're just not making.
Yeah.
It's interesting when you watch. When I've watched the All or Nothing Tottenham, and Daniel Levy is a similar conundrum for them. Like he doesn't know the game. He doesn't know. Like that person needs to know the game as well as business.
Well,
Like you gotta.
Levy's like the CEO.
Yeah, but even for him, like it's funny watching that because I would say even if for a sports team, you want the president of the club to know the sport still,
Well, you like
or learn it.
Yeah, the thing at least
You're
with
there. You're
Levy,
there.
at least with Levy, it seems like he's like that kid who's rich growing up who just wants to be like, oh, who's the most popular kid in school? Oh, him. I want to buy
Yeah,
him something so he's my friend.
sure. Yeah,
So it's not the best, smartest idea, but he's still like, he's not a chump where he's going to be
he's
fooled
doing.
into who's the most popular kid in school.
I mean, you would rate Tottenham above us right now for sure.
And their transfer windows have been consistently better than us. Like they
Yeah,
try. Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes they try to buy some hot prospect and it doesn't work, or yada yada. But overall, the consistent trying to get something good.
I mean, you look at their performances; they're better than us right now. The last few seasons, easily.
Yeah, yeah, 1,000%. But also, and the funniest thing is, so the way that the club is being run behind the scenes is insane. When you offer a 29-year-old Cedric a 4-year contract, dude, so he's going to be 33 when his contract runs out. When you offer a new contract to Mustafi and then he says no, they wanted to give him another contract, dude.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy to me. And first of all, Mustafi it shouldn't even be anywhere near the Premier League in general on
Get the
any
fuck
team.
out of my football club,
Yeah, he's
bro.
terrible. Every time the ball goes near him, he messes up.
The dude ducks headers.
Yeah,
It's a fucking pigeon shitting on his head when there's a big, tall center forward right behind him. He ducked a header when Jesus scored. He literally ducked a header when Laporte scored and then raised his hand. And everyone, the linesman, the ref, our own team are looking at him like, what, dude? That wasn't even close to offsides. They came running from like 10 yards behind you.
yeah.
When they headed in the ball, they were behind you. Sometimes if you get a breakaway, you'd be like, oh, he's off, he's off. But when you're standing here and the dude comes and heads it from behind you into the
Oh yeah,
goal,
he
you're like,
every time he's
offside. It's like, no,
every
even offside when he headed the ball in.
every time he's on the field, he's going to make a mistake, and he's going to cost us a goal. He doesn't score goals. It just really is like the quality of player that we have right now too is subpar around the pitch. I mean, we're fortunate that we have Bird Leno, Gabriel, Aubameyang, Saka, Lacazette. After that, I'm not really sure. Uh,
And
it's
the players that
suspect. A
aren't
lot, a
good enough.
lot of the field. Tierney, I'd say, is included in that bunch.
Yeah.
There's getting to be a good core of players, but like, there's garbage around.
And it's like we have places that the level doesn't drop. The level is gone.
Gone. Yeah, Bellerin. I love these reports of him leaving in like a week. Good. I hope that that's a true story, and and I hope Mustafi's out. Though I'd say the one positive that I can feel about Arsenal at this moment with how bad it's been is they are forced to spend money next month. I don't know where it's going to come from. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they keep talking about it. They have to buy somebody. They have to buy a center attacking midfielder, and they need to get some people off the books immediately. Ozil is dragging it down worse and worse every day. He did like a Q&A on Twitter last night and was like pretty like talking shit. Like said something like, "Oh, the club could really use Wenger right now," and just like things that this player should not be talking about. Cancel his contract. Get him out away from the club.
And apparently he still trains with the first team.
Every day he's there.
Like imagine,
He was
imagine
doing 100 miles an hour in his Mercedes, like, I don't know, a few months ago, and he just got off a driving ban yesterday. They like they upheld the no ban for him because he said I have to take my daughter to school and I use my car every day for work. He's just like,
he's an asshole.
yeah,
He's
he's
an
an asshole.
asshole.
Yeah,
He's a jerk. His response this whole time has been, I didn't do anything wrong. You guys
yeah,
are. And
you
that's
guys are
what
wrong.
the same kind of Kroenke response. Like people are saying, Edu coming out telling the fans, you're wrong to think Willian is not playing well enough. We're wrong, really?
Yeah,
So we keep plummeting down the table. You know, people who've played soccer like us, watching Sammy, my wife, comes and watches. She played soccer. She watches for 2 seconds and notices what's that guy doing? What's that guy doing? What's that guy doing?
exactly.
They're doing the wrong things, you know? And then they're
You and
telling
I, you and I, you and
wrong,
I, yeah,
gaslighting us as fans, dude.
exactly, dude. And I'd say you and I, we're good. We're nowhere near pro, but like we're good. We have a good touch. We can play the ball. We can pass the ball. I know for a fact my touch is better than Mustafi's any day of the week. That dude has no business being near a professional football team. How he won the World Cup baffles me.
It's that it's basically like Ozil won the World Cup, and then that's their ticket to like when you win the
Yeah,
Masters,
yeah,
you qualify for every Masters for life because you won it and it's so hard, it's crazy, it's one of the best tournaments ever. You know, that's what they've done. They basically won the Masters. Now they qualify for every year, but you don't have to play well. You don't have to make the cut. That doesn't mean you make the cut every season.
yeah. Like Mustafi should have moved on years ago before he should never even come.
No,
But
what
second
year?
of all, like like
What
he's
year?
been here way longer than he should.
And they want to offer him a new fucking contract, dude.
Yeah, they're. I mean,
This is mad.
somebody help us.
We got Cedric on a loan because last season we were dealing with all kinds of terrible injuries. We had sacked the manager. We didn't know what was going on. It was It was like it was a panic loan buy for Cedric.
Yeah.
The dude didn't get on the field the entire rest of the season. He just didn't make it on the field for one reason or another. And what do? We reward him by giving him a 4-year contract. The dude is 29 years old. So that means he's on our books 4 years. We can't, who's going to buy Cedric? Who's
Yeah.
going to buy him, dude? We have to sell him to get rid of him for 4 years. I looked, well, maybe he's 22. He's 29.
Yeah.
Just based on that, no one is going to buy him. So you don't give a 29-year-old player who was originally on loan, that was a panic buy, who didn't play during his loan spell. You give him 4-year contract? Like, who's doing that?
What?
And then,
Who's behind that decision right there?
yeah, is that Edu? Is that Vinay? Is that Sinelli? You know, is that one of
Then
the
that's where I feel bad
people?
for Arteta because that some of these decisions are out of his realm.
That's true.
And if they're here, this I keep hearing this and I've seen it multiple times and they talk about it on pundit radio all the time. These Arsenal players have like things written into their contracts that they have like guaranteed playing time. I guarantee Bellerin's one of them. That's probably why he's on the fucking team sheet every week. Why else would you pick him? Like Guardiola beats Arsenal the other day on Monday. And the first thing he says about Arteta is don't sack him. He's an incredible manager and going to be incredible. He's talking about like they would never even won the league without him that year. He's like the perfect man manager. What I've gathered from Guardiola talking about Arteta is that Arteta is a better man manager than Guardiola is, and Guardiola was like expert at tacticians, but Arteta is also good at that. So you have someone that's going to grow the role, but his hands are tied if you got player contracts stating that they have to play.
Yeah.
And that's bad. We've done bad business the entire time. It wouldn't put it past them to let some bullshit like that be in the clause because what else? They haven't made good financial decisions.
And my critique about Arteta, I love the dude. I was really, you know, And well, it's again at the beginning, I was like, he's too inexperienced. And
Yep.
honestly, you don't take someone who's been a coach, which is different than the manager, and put him in charge of righting the ship of a huge, massive. It's like saying like, you're a good real estate agent. You do a
Yep.
great job. So now come and be CEO of Century 21 during a time when the whole company itself is bleeding cash and the stock price is down and
Yeah.
things are going.
Totally. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you're a good real estate agent. We're
Come
gonna pick
fix it.
you to come
Yeah.
fix this. Like that's a
Yeah.
terrible, terrible thing. So it's
For
too
sure.
much.
I feel a bit bad for him because I'd say if you like, I doubted Arteta as a decision, but I've seen some things that like he knows what he's doing. They've definitely gotten better defensively overall, and it, it, it it's a shame because like you're right. Like, is it too big of a job? And people keep saying that. Is it too big of a job for Arteta?
It makes sense.
Is it too big? Is it too big for anybody at this point in the
Yeah,
current climate coming in there? I don't think anybody can fix it. You got some players that just aren't good enough soccer players. There
yeah,
is a level in the Premier League the Premier League is titled the Premier League for a reason. It's the best in the world. It is the Premier League.
yeah,
And you need to be superb to be in it.
yeah. But
And we are not at the moment.
it doesn't explain, and I'm all for Arteta's future, but there are certain things that he's done
Yeah.
that are
He makes
inexcusable.
Yeah. Maybe he's still learning though. I mean, maybe from that view, it's hard to tell.
Still
Who
learning,
knows? Yeah.
still learning, but why do these players that keep getting in, why is Mustafi playing ahead of Pablo Mari?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I do love that he started Martinelli the other day. I was a bit
Yeah,
surprised
and
about
he
that.
played him too long. Now he's injured
Yeah.
again, just like he
No,
did
I
to.
think he's fine. I think it was an injury scare. He did get knocked, but I think he's all right. Fortunately.
I don't know. I see Arteta. He's
Do you
chosen
think
Willian over Pepe.
do you think if we got someone else, who would you want otherwise? Because I know that they're circling some names now. Brendan Rodgers. I saw
Well,
Talk Sport posted Arteta had 3 games to save it. Now he has 2 games. If that's real, who knows? I mean,
one of
he has
them's
to get a route.
one of them's a bogey team.
Yeah, and one of them's Chelsea.
Well, Thomas Tuchel just got sacked.
Yeah, he's not a bad
PSG.
choice.
But honestly, though,
I don't even know that that's going to happen, but
no, I mean, I don't want I don't want anyone because until Kroenke leaves,
yeah,
it doesn't matter. All you're going to do is ruin the career of another up and coming or consistent manager. It totally cemented Unai Emery as not a top tier manager when
yeah,
maybe he was good. I mean, he won a lot before. He couldn't get PSG to win the Champions League, but no one's been able to do that. Comes to Arsenal, then goes to Villarreal. He'll never coach a team above that level ever again. You know,
yeah,
and
yeah. I mean,
if you
it's
don't
a
have the backing of a correct sporting director and money and serious, intentions and abilities to buy players, it it doesn't matter. And that's why I'm not harping on the Arteta out. I think tactically even he's lost the plot because I look at the players and they look like they're second guessing every time they take a step. Like, oh wait, I'm supposed to be in this position. I'm supposed to be like, like
yeah, and there's reports that like the dressing room's divided and that he's lost the dressing
yeah,
room.
with
So
Luis and William being Arteta out.
yeah,
And
so
he keeps
who
choosing
knows?
them.
Yeah,
That doesn't make any sense. He took Pepe out who scored a PK. I backed Pepe. I backed Lacazette. Lacazette scored yesterday. I
yeah,
I backed them to be able to finish that above Willian and Nketiah, but he's chosen Willian over Pepe and Nketiah over Lacazette. That's
yeah,
just flat out he's made those choices, and those are straight up wrong choices.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, he and then anytime he puts Bellerin in, and who else that I don't know why we have him on loan again? Ceballos is a terrible soccer player.
His form has disintegrated, dude.
Dude, he's
His
terrible.
passes. So this morning, Jose Mourinho openly criticized Dele Ali for losing the ball that resulted in a counterattacking goal. Talking
Yep.
shit to him in the press about his own player for making a pass that got intercepted that led to a goal. Ceballos does that 4 or 5 times a game, and one of them or two of them results in a goal. But his passing, dude, as a defensive midfielder, holding midfielder, whatever the fuck he is.
Yeah, whatever position he plays, I don't understand it, but
is just straight up balls that go to the other team.
Oh, always.
Also regular,
dude. He loses the ball dribbling a lot too. He's so slow on his rotation that it's so easy to predict. All you got to do is wrap your leg around the tackle. He's so slow on his turn.
And dude, have you seen his legs too? It goes back to
they're so small. Yeah. You said it the other day. They're small.
Yeah. Do you even squat, bro? But
look at Man City.
I know there was a picture of Joao Cancelo, who is a second preferred type of player, and he's next to Ceballos. The dude's quads are fucking jacked because you don't even make the 23-man squad unless you're jacked like that at Man City. This is a fucking joke, dude. You know, you can't just go out there. I'm crafty. Whatever.
That's why we have injury problems.
Totally.
But that's a cultural. That is one thing I'm hopeful for, because this is what I hear about Arteta, is that he's trying to change the culture of Arsenal from that old mentality. I think that small person era of football was Wenger. Wenger says in his book that the reason that he was buying players like Fabregas and Nasri and Arshavin and Sami Cazorla and all those small players is he thought the league was going to go more technical, and it wasn't. It went more physical. And he in the book, he says, I got it wrong. That's not the direction of the league. So we have probably this mentality that you don't need to be that big, that a finesse type situation is better. But if you look at teams like Man City, they have finesse and brute force.
Yeah. I mean, they have Silva, who he looks kind of small, but he's I bet if you saw him in real life, you'd be like, dude, that dude is jacked. But dude, he has that kind of small, compact, Messi is a smaller player, but the dude is jacked.
He's ripped,
in his arms, he's swollen his legs.
He was kind of fat when he was younger. I remember I went to Barcelona in 2007 and Messi played. He was kind of like a chubbier at the time. Now he is huge.
Yeah.
If you look at Ronaldo is probably one of the most fit people on the planet at this point right now. And he's our age. He's 35 years old. He's that ripped. He is like a 12-pack. I mean, you're not.
What do you expect, man? That's what it takes.
That's what it takes to be the best.
You look at fucking Bellerin, dude. When he's
small.
When he's prancing the catwalk in women's underwear, there's no fucking definition in his leg, and he's smiling about it.
Yeah, he's a tiny guy. You're right. I think it comes down to a fitness thing as well. That's why we have injuries like crazy. What is fit?
Yeah, if you have a skinny ass leg, I mean, you look at Runarsson, dude.
Oh,
I would rather have McCusick out there.
For sure.
Dude, I swear to God.
Kyle, Sean, either one of them are better than that dude.
Dude, you look at his legs, his skinny ass legs. If he goes into a tackle, that's a broken ACL. Your ACL breaks because your leg loses its stability. If there's muscles around that, it resists it. If not, it fucking snaps like a twig.
Yeah, it's true. Dude, he literally got shot to the hands and went through his hands.
And he's our number 2.
Yeah, that's a high school goalkeeper error that he made.
Well, dude, just think about it. And someone like AFTV was saying this the other day. If Leno gets COVID, we're fucked. We have Runarsson in the Premier League, dude.
Aubameyang can play goal better than Runarsson, I guarantee you. I've seen Aubameyang in training making some saves. He hasn't been scoring, so maybe he'll.
Buy him in the first place, dude, because he was
Yeah, I
2
know.
million pounds. He was a
Because
string
he
keeper
was,
in a second division team. What do
yeah,
you
he
expect?
would,
Like,
yeah,
you can rip into him. What do you expect?
yeah.
It's what's going on, man? I don't understand. Even with Kroenke being with all of his shittiness, it bleeds into the culture of the club,
It
because
does, because they're not buying even
better
any quality.
decisions,
You got to, yeah, you
and
got to
then
be able to make the better decision in that situation overall.
yeah, and this this willingness to pick players like Mustafi, I mean, you look at the team that they fielded, Tottenham fielded against Stoke. That was a Premier League level side.
Yeah,
For some reason, we're thinking, oh, let's put a team out there that's our League Cup team. It's like, yeah, well, this isn't just any League Cup game. This is a League Cup game against Manchester fucking City. So maybe now's not the time to put in your second string who was playing second fiddle in Dijon last season.
I
Maybe you
know.
put in Leno, because Leno is not going to get so tired from one extra game that he won't be able to play anymore, because keepers aren't fucking like that. Like, what the
Well,
fuck?
and if you win the Carabao Cup, you get into Europa League, right?
I think that may be true.
I think that's. I think
Like, win a
both of
cup.
the league. Yeah, I think if you win the cup, you get to go to Europa League no matter what.
Yeah, and who are we to be like,
Yeah,
it's just the League Cup, we don't care about that? Like, we need
yeah,
every kind of plaudit that we
yeah.
can.
Exactly. I
And
mean,
even
if
if
you
we
look at
are
if
good, I
you look
want
at
to win the League Cup. I want to win
if you
all
put
of them.
if you play at Preston North End, you're trying to win the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup and the league.
Why not? It's a fucking
Yes.
competition. If you're not trying to win, then get the
Yeah.
fuck out of here, dude. Yes, you
Exactly.
rest players for lower level competitions. That there's a difference between resting players and, like, Guardiola rested players. He still played a strong team, and
Yeah.
also the second string of players that he did play are as good as the first.
I mean,
He's putting in,
Foden can't get into the first team right now, and
he's better than every player on Arsenal.
100%. He scored an incredible goal. Whether he was offside or not, that was an incredible
He's
finish.
great. I love Foden. I
Oh,
don't know why he
he's
doesn't play him all.
Guardiola said that no matter where Guardiola goes, Phil Foden's going with him.
I believe it. He's the best player. He's the best young
And
player.
he's not in their starting 11 right now.
And when speaking about young players too, we keep saying like, oh, Willock on the right, like what the fuck, dude? And even
Yeah.
Willock, like, oh, Willock, these guys are young. Willock's 20, 21.
He should be balling.
Kylian Mbappe just turned 22. And yes,
Yeah.
you can't compare, blah, blah. Yes, you can compare,
They're
because
the same
that's a
age.
22-year-old, and
Yeah.
then you have a 21-year-old, and then we're talking about Willock as if he's 13 or something.
Yeah. No,
That's the
Kylian
point. You
Mbappe.
got to play well, or get the fuck
Yeah.
out of here, dude.
Yeah.
We just have this kind of, oh, they're kids, and then we're going to play these 30-year-olds, and then we're going to play these 19 to 21-year-olds.
So, I
And
mean,
everyone knows 25,
hopefully
28.
we get this cultural shift that we need then, because
I don't
it's
think
not good. It's not good enough right now.
our technical side is Edu, and then Per Mertesacker is also like coordinating with the technical.
Yeah.
Mertesacker was the Mustafi of last generation.
Yeah,
And
he
we
was
keep
terrible.
promoting, we keep rewarding people for failure, flat
Yeah.
out. Mertesacker, we welcomed him in. Okay, now you're the coach. Okay, now you're part of the technical team. For what?
I mean, look at Chelsea. Look at teams like Chelsea.
Bad.
Look at a club like Chelsea, who we play on Saturday. Dude, if you're not good there, you get fired. Abramovich makes no qualms about it. Like, you're not good enough. Sorry, time to go.
Like, they spent 80 million on Kepa,
and he sucks.
Now he'll never stay in.
Yeah, they got Mendy. They bought a different goalkeeper.
Yeah,
they'll sell Kepa soon.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, You get a couple games, you get a couple mistakes. That's it. But this isn't a happy kind of friendly let's hold hands business.
Yeah.
Ruthless. And it hurts people's feelings when you take it off that scale, like we're trying to be
Yep.
like, oh, let's not dig these players out, let's not. But as soon as you start doing that, then you degrade the whole competition, you degrade the team, because that's what it is. We expect the highest of everyone.
Yeah. You don't support a team to want them to lose. So, and
And
that's
if
all
we
they're doing right now.
fail
That's all they're doing. They're just losing right now.
and playing, dude, I saw some things that Arteta was trying to implement before here and there, and you're thinking, okay, he just needs time, and then he'll iron out the kinks. I look at the team right now; they get the ball, and no one knows no one knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
No sense of. Remember, they had that play where they played it out of the back. They would play it up the right hand side, the long switch over to Saka or Aubameyang, who would then either cross it or bring it in and score. And they did that like 3 times last season.
Yep.
Where's that? That's utterly gone off.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have David Luiz out there making runs forward and long balls going to nowhere as if he's like the attacking center mid. You have balls coming in the box, dropping all the time to Rob Holding, and things like this too with Arteta that I can't understand. Rob Holding is captain. We
Yeah.
wanted to fucking sell him, and the only reason we didn't sell him is because we needed squad depth and center back. And now he's captain, dude. There's no one.
Yeah.
There's no one on Arsenal better to be captain than Rob Holding, who is.
I mean, I would rather give it to Saka.
I know. Give it to
a kid.
Give it to
Yeah.
Emil Smith Rowe. Give it.
Yeah. Give it to someone that's like gonna try to. Rob Holding's just not good enough either.
Give it to someone that other players respect who aren't on the team.
I hope that they can find some form here and there. Otherwise this is gonna keep,
I don't see it changing, man. And it's sad. And I don't want it to spill over into where I'm actively hoping the team does wrong to prove me right or to get the Kroenkes out or something like that. Because it's like getting kicked in the nuts all the time.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
it's tough. It's tough to watch.
Where's the solution going to come from? Aubameyang gave us 2 years of bailing us out constantly. What do we want more from that?
Yeah. I feel bad for him right now because he's signed a new deal. He wants to find goals.
Never had a spell like this in his career. He's one of those players that does score all the time. Now he's not. Pepe is getting shit on a lot by fans, but I look at the way Pepe is receiving the ball. These floated, slow balls are landing to him with his back to the goal, and a guy is ready to kick his leg off, and we want him to somehow score goals where he's receiving it in our defensive third on a floated ball.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
So what do you think? What are you thinking for Saturday prediction?
3-0 Chelsea.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It'll be a calm, easy. They score early. We come back and play for a little bit. They score before halftime. We come out a little bit strong. Around 65 minutes, they score another one and just coast on into the end. 3-0 Chelsea.
I think you're right.
We'll show signs of a little bit of pressure and a little bit of fighting, and there'll be no quality. There'll be no our passing quality is dreadful.
Yeah.
And then something's going to fall.
I hope we get Thomas. Someone's going to get hurt.
I hope not, man. I mean, how do you predict a loss for your own team? But I've been optimistic before, knowing that.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times did we call for Pepe, Laka, and Aubameyang to start at the same time? And he absolutely refuses to do that. When you take any EPL fan out there and say, who are you going to play? Who would you pick for Arsenal if you had to pick? Every single one of them would put those 3 players in.
Yeah, of course.
Like,
I mean, if I was playing FIFA right now and I was choosing the team, I mean, there's a
Willian. Well, are you going to put Willian in?
he doesn't start in my team. He doesn't start in my team.
You're going to put Nketiah instead of Lacazette?
No.
Nketiah is a good player to come in
later.
Lacazette's not having a good game.
Yeah. Nketiah is like great at like 70. At 70, because he's going to come on and pressure the ball like crazy and force an error, and we're going to score from it. That's when we need him, is when they're tired. My starting lineup would be Tierney, Gabriel, Mari, Cedric, Partey, Laka in the middle, in the high, Emile Smith-Rowe, and then the 3 that you mentioned up top. That would be my starting lineup if I was playing FIFA.
Yeah.
And none of those other chumps would be in. I'd be picking other, like my bench would have Nketiah, Reece Nelson.
Yeah.
It'd have Martinelli. I would have a good bench out of these players, and some of those guys would get nowhere near the first team. Bellerin would be nowhere near my first team. Niles and Cedric would be who I have on the side.
Yeah, I'd have Niles start right back.
In fact, I'm going to play FIFA today, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to pick that team.
Send me who you pick.
I will. I'll send you a picture, and we'll put it up next week.
Yeah, because Bellerin gets nowhere near that team. Xhaka gets nowhere near that team. Mustafi is not even on the team sheet.
No, if I was playing manager mode, I used to play manager mode on FIFA years ago. So like when people think we might not know about the tactics, we understand the tactics. Like I would set up a team on there. I'd pick a team. I would guarantee if I were to pick it right now and start it, I would sell all of those players immediately. All of those fringe players that we mentioned. I mean, I'd have 100 million kitty right there.
Yeah.
I mean, in fact, that sounds like a nice Christmas present. I'll let you know how that goes.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy myself that today and do that, because I think I'm interested to see what it would be. I bet you the quality goes up. I mean, we have some quality players right now. It's astonishing that we're this bad. That's why I don't think that we're in a full relegation battle. Back to that. If this team that we talked about in the beginning of the season were performing in the way that we know they can, we got an actual good team.
3rd or 4th. Yeah. Well, the thing is too, though, that's been really killing us is we don't even not have a attacking center mid. The 2 center mids are like, we needed Partey at the beginning of the season fit.
Yes. And we'd be in a different position right now, I think.
Partey and one other, because the other option.
Awar, we needed an attacking midfielder. Yeah. Like Lacazette's a temporary solution. I don't think he's the right one there all the time. But,
I trust him with the ball at his feet more than fucking.
For sure.
Ceballos,
I would have sold him too.
Yeah, not taking back Ceballos.
Yeah.
Not taking back El Neni, which, I mean.
He's done well, but he's not good enough. I
mean, he did well compared to Xhaka, who was a liability.
Oh yeah, Xhaka to me is gone. Like I can't even imagine him. If he starts on Saturday, it's like what the.
I expect him to be right back in there. Yeah. Is there any reports of any players leaving in January that you've seen?
Bellerin. Like a concrete one that Bellerin, I think is on the exit.
I can't imagine that he sees all these people really ripping into him, dude.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and the thing is, dude, he's been the one outspoken as well, saying like the culture is changing, and he's part of that old culture. We need to get rid of those old.
Tone deaf as shit. He's been one of those people who's consistently come out and said, "Don't complain" as a fan.
Yeah.
He went and said the AFTV is making a fortune off of failure, but who's failing, dude? You're saying it yourself. Who's failing?
Yeah.
You are, dude. But he has that attitude where sometimes I'm like, this guy thinks that he's good. Like sometimes I'm like, Mustafi and Xhaka and Bellerin think that they're doing everything right and they're great.
Yeah.
They're world-class players. It's the fans' fault, right? Because the fans are the ones who are out there playing.
Yeah.
Wild, man. I did not expect at the beginning of the season, we were talking, we're hopefully they do this and it could
Yeah.
be, it could be
We
low.
knew it was going to be the one for the taking. We said it.
And it totally is.
Yeah.
And
And
instead we collapsed. A
yeah.
collapse, dude.
Like in a season that like Southampton's in like third place.
Everton, that's
Halfway through.
Everton
Everton.
side. The Everton
Leicester is
side
up
that
there.
made,
Dude, Man City's in 8th place right now.
how many years are you going to have that?
Yeah, dude, and the supercomputer predicted the finish of the season. They predicted us to finish 16th, one spot lower. And they predicted Man City to finish 8th, United to finish 3rd, Leicester 2nd, Liverpool champions, Chelsea 4th. I can't remember after I just looked at it briefly today earlier, but I noticed that Man City is predicted to finish 8th in a season that like obviously is crazy. They're a good team.
Very good.
They beat us 4-1. I expect every time I watch Man City that they're going to win.
Yeah.
And that means that
They're
like
in form or not. I expect them in whoever they play against.
Yeah.
Champions League or
I mean, it's scary in the Premier League right now. Everybody's pretty quality. The league in the last like 5 years, really. I mean, it went from one level to another level. Like everybody's pretty good. We had teams in our era of watching. Derby County has the worst record ever in the Premier League when they got relegated. They had 11 points at the end. 11. They won 3 games and drawn twice out of 38. That would not happen right now, really.
Yeah.
They were really a poor side, and right now we don't have that.
Well, I mean, I
Dude,
think
we lost to Burnley.
Because teams don't make mistakes, though.
Yeah.
I don't see a team that is elevating necessarily a new style of playing. But you look at Everton; they don't make a lot of mistakes. They don't make stupid mistakes.
Yeah, they're just much more precise.
Yeah, but that means they're capable of being beaten if you attack them with quality.
Yeah, and we just don't have it right now.
No.
But we went a little bit over today, but it was a Christmas edition, and hopefully Boxing Day doesn't torture us too much.
Yeah, I'm not expecting anything.
Greatness, no.
I mean, I turned it off when they scored the 4th goal. I went.
Yeah, I stopped watching. Yeah, I stopped.
It's gotten to the point a few times this season where I'm like, I have things to do today.
Yeah.
And I can't wait 30 more minutes of this to prevent me from starting the things that I need to do today. Because it's
tormenting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, until next week, going into the new year.
Yeah.
We're halfway through the season.
Yep. Well, Merry Christmas to you and yours.
Merry Christmas. Yeah. Happy holidays to everybody. And tell Sammy and Claire happy holidays.
Will do. Same with
your
family and Rachel.
Cheers. All right, buddy. Talk to you next week. Thanks for joining us on this bad Christmas. Bye.